with the procedures that have been put in place, he's constantly living in fear that the mom and pop that he's speaking up for today is going to be him tomorrow.
Yeah. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today, we're talking about a new lawsuit that is poised to put the ATF on their toes, pushing back against the Biden regime and expansive gun control we've seen going on all over the place. We're talking about one of our favorite people, Michael Cargill. First, he had bump stocks, then frames and receivers, and
Well, he's on a hot streak.
yeah, he is on a hot streak. So this is a new lawsuit. He's teaming up with the Texas Public Policy Foundation and looking to push back and protect gun stores. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. Today's video is brought to you by friends over at XS Sites.
XS Sites is known for making the fastest sights in any light. For more than 25 years, the XS team has created some of the most innovative sights on the market today for pistols, rifles, and shotguns. And now, XS offers the complete sight solution from sights to install tools. Code XS2023 gives $55 off their Do-It-Yourself Series Sight Pusher and R3D Sight Bundle. It also gives 20% off other sights and tools. American made, Texas proud, 2A strong. Check out XS Sights linked in the description below.
And to start things off, let's check out this announcement from Michael Cargill. We see Michael, one of our favorite people, teaming up with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, pushing back against FFL revocations.
What we're doing is by bringing this lawsuit, we're saying, you know what, you need to stop that. What Congress says this is what you're supposed to do. There are a set of laws there, and they should follow those laws, not step outside those boundaries. And so we're trying to put them back in those boundaries and say this is enough.
Now, this lawsuit hasn't dropped yet, but what we see here is a couple of things. First, we see, we saw back in January of 2022, the Biden administration kind of changing its position with regard to violations that FFLs make. Previous to this, they had to meet the standard of willful violation, but now we see them just kind of going after zero tolerance policy, going after every FFL. What have you seen?
Well, if we'll remember those press conferences, he was very aggressive towards FFLs. He seemed to say that he was going to direct the ATF to take this more rigorous enforcement. And the thing about it is that that's where with laws that affect you and I, Congress has to pass them. But with an administrative agency like ATF, yeah, they can go straight to the FFLs and put the fear of God in them and perhaps create some sort of gun control that way. The ATF should be looking for violations that get guns into the hands of prohibited people. That's what I think we all can agree on.
Yep.
But these are little ticky-tack technical violations. Things like people putting on their address the word road instead of RD.
Yep.
Period. People who may inadvertently switch their birth dates so that they have the year and the month rather than the month and year, European style.
Or I see the one that a lot of people make. They see the word county, and they think they read country, and they put in USA instead of the county of their residence.
Yeah, so these are not major violations, and these are not the type of violations. The ATF, by shutting down a mom and pop, they're not stopping the cartel from getting guns.
No.
These are not those types of violations.
And what we see is, and this came out of the Gun Control Act, what they said is, if a FFL, Federal Firearms License Dealer, was making willful violations with regard to the transfer of firearms, and they don't define willful. However, the federal courts have held that willful violations under the Gun Control Act occurs when they commit a violation with the intention to disregard. They're disregarding like a known legal duty, or they have indifference. And, we see a lot of FFLs even putting in policies in place that would prevent this. One person, maybe your front desk clerk, fills out the 4473 with the customer, and then a supervisor checks it. But even then, we see these kind of slip-ups slip through the cracks.
Yeah, because as Cargill said in his video, there are hundreds of pieces of information that go into this form, and the form seems to get bigger and bigger each time they revise it, which they do quite often, and they'll revise it for the most minor of things. And so as an FFL and as a frequent firearms purchaser, you really need to keep up on the changes. And even though you may have read this form dozens of times, read it very thoroughly at the same time, because even me, I can't tell you how many times I've had to crumple up a 4473 and throw it away because of just some silly mistake, inadvertently writing down the zip code in the in the city, in the name of the city box, or so something silly like that.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to remember, and we kind of take these things for granted, and lawyers, forget why we do things sometimes, but really, a lot of times when these laws are passed, we look at what was the purpose of the law, and the purpose of the law here was to, ensure this person's not a prohibited person, and by writing AVE instead of avenue, when person's filling out their address, I mean, that doesn't undermine the background check.
No, not at all. And it just seems to be that this is just sort of a small part of a bigger picture where it seems that this administration seems to be weaponizing, to use a phrase, weaponizing the administrative agencies against lawful business owners.
We know why this is so stinking important because we have a couple of things going on. 4473s, FFLs now have to keep those records forever before, just 20 years. We see the Biden administration running these places out of business. And we see that these FFLs that go out of business or cease doing business, they have to turn over their records to the ATF, and they're building kind of a database there. We see great work from the Gun Owners of America showing that they are building this gigantic gun registry with millions upon millions of records. And so that's why it's really important that we do push back. Now, this lawsuit hasn't been filed just yet. I'm pretty interested to see. There's a couple of things that I'm interested about. But first off, how do you think they get standing?
Well, I think they're getting standing just simply from Michael Cargill being an FFL and
Yeah.
having to undergo these audits. And so he is constantly, with the procedures that have been put in place, he's constantly living in fear that the mom and pop that he's speaking up for today is going to be him tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, like I said, this lawsuit has not been filed yet. We're going to be following it very closely, keeping you posted. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe to keep up with these updates. And I'm interested to see what you folks have to say about this. Do we see the federal government getting weaponized against gun stores? Do you think this is a good use of resources and pushing back? But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video. And always question and comment down below. And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.